Hello, hello, it's Evan Rogers coming at you with the Ga particle, the thing that verbs, at www.evanseasyjapanese.com. Uru. The Ga particle number one, the verber. Let's look at this sentence in English. Let's look in English, I guess it says. A dog ate a pizza. That's intriguing. Don't you wish you knew more about that? Identify the verb first. What's the verb? Ate. I hope you all came up with the answer of 8. Now, what noun verbed? What is the thing that verbed? A dog verbed. A dog ate. What did a dog eat? / what noun was verbed? A pizza was eaten, right? So a dog is the subject. It ate is the verb. A pizza is the object. Those little letter A's, those are called indefinite determiners, indefinite article determiners. Fancy name for such a small word. So what we want to know is that what verbed? A dog. What is the verb? Ate. What got verbed? A pizza. Okay, now let's change places.
Change places!
A pizza ate a dog. Strange sentence. I wish I knew more about that story. Sounds like it's a fun one. What's the verb? It still ate. What is verbing now? A pizza is verbing. And what is being verbed? A dog. All we did was switch a pizza with a dog, and we come up with an entirely different sentence. So if we just simply change one noun in the sentence with a different noun, we come up with an entirely different sentence. Word order. Where's that? Word order is very important in English. That's very important to know. Word order is important in every language. However, it's super mega important in English. Super mega ultra important. The Ga particle number one, the verber. A dog ate a pizza ate the dog, or a dog. Because English doesn't have particles the way the Japanese does, word order is very important. And because we don't have words that designate like a dog subject ate a pizza object, because we don't do that in our language, Evan, the subject, walked down the street. Walk is the verb, and the street is the object. Because we don't talk like that, we just take all that random information for granted. We need to have, we need to have important word order in our sentences. Word order in our sentences. In fact, word order is so important that many words change depending on word order. I ate it versus it ate me. Notice the word I turned into me. She hates him versus he hates her. Notice she turns into her and him turned into he when it became the subject. Depending on what the subject is and depending on what the object is, words can actually change shape. However, Japanese has particles, so the words don't really change shape like this. Also, word order isn't as important as it is in English. Thus, identifying subjects and objects is very easy in Japanese. What's verbing? The Ga particle shows us the subject of the sentence, the thing that verbs. You will learn a few more usages of Ga that are completely different, but today's lesson is the subject. We're learning the subject of the sentence. Now when we talk about subject, if you've been looking at my wa videos, you're going to say, well wait, didn't the wa particle kind of mean subject? Yeah, but in a different sense. The subject of the sentence is the thing that verbs. The subject of the sentence in the wa particle meaning is to what does the conversation apply. So, once again, I gave this example. I studied chemistry. What are we talking about? What's the subject of the sentence? I. What's the subject of conversation? Studying / chemistry / my studies / my schooling, something like that. We see the word subject has two meanings. I hope we can recognize that. Here we're talking about the subject of the sentence, the thing that verbs. That underline is very strange. Ga is a relatively straightforward particle with few tricks. Nothing too tricky here, but let's go ahead and look at what tricks we might come up against. Boom, the ga particle, my fellow home slices. Dare ga cheeseburger o tabemashita kai? I'm just being goofy. Dare ga cheeseburger o tabemashita ka? Who ate the cheeseburger? Notice cheeseburger is an object because it has o. Tabemashita is the past tense. Just in case you don't know our kanji, this is tabemashita. Tabemashita means eat, ate, eaten. Ka makes it a sentence, a question. And dare means who. This is the kanji for dare, and this is ga. So ga is the subject. Dare is the subject because there's a ga after it. Cheeseburger is the object because it has an o after it. Tabemashita is the verb because it ends in mashita and it's the verb. Ka is the question mark. So who is the subject, and that who ate. What did it eat? It ate the cheeseburger. Dare ga, who ate, or who, cheeseburger o, the cheeseburger, tabemashita, ate, ka, question. The ga shows us who did the verb, which the answer to that question is who. The o shows us what got verbed. What got verbed? The cheeseburger. An important note, notice ga follows an interrogative, aka a question word, without any qualms whatsoever. Dare ga, this is a perfectly fine sentence. There's no problems with ga there. Continuing the ga particle. Ashita wa boku ga shimasu yo. Ashita wa boku ga shimasu yo. Tomorrow is what we're talking about as opposed to other days. That's what the wa is doing there. I will do. There's no object. So we have to say whatever the object is. Whatever it is there is to be done. Notice how wa is not the subject of the sentence. It is simply providing us information as to what I will do applies to. It applies to tomorrow. Boku ga shimasu yo. Sorry, this kanji is boku. And this kanji is ashita. Ashita, together it's ashita. Boku ga shimasu applies to ashita. So the me doing will happen tomorrow. Ashita wa boku ga shimasu yo. Or, I'm going to do it tomorrow, man. Come on. It can be something like that, too. Ashita wa shimasu yo. But, however, boku ga is the subject. The thing that is doing is me. I guess the thing that is doing is I. Oh well, whatever. Notice how our sentence doesn't need an object mentioned. We don't know what the object is. I'll do it. In English, we can't not have an object in a sentence like that. I'll do. That almost sounds like you're saying, yeah, I'm alright. She will do. It's almost like you're choosing women, and she's the one that's fine enough for you. But in the sense of, she will do the dishes. Sorry to be sexist there. That's just, we need to have an object. She'll do it. She'll do something. He'll do something. They'll do something. We almost need an object in sentences like that. Okie dokie. The ga particle continued. Watashi wa cheeseburger ga suki desu. Here we're looking at the fact that cheeseburger is the subject of this sentence. But Evan, my teacher told me that suki desu means like. Your teacher taught you wrong. Suki desu actually means is enjoyable feeling having. There's no way to translate suki because it's an adjective that means the verb like in English. So really what you're saying in this sentence, watashi wa, as for me, as opposed to other people, cheeseburgers, ga suki desu. They exist. This is what the desu is doing. Exist. I'm sorry, this is suki desu. This is watashi. Cheeseburger ga suki desu. Cheeseburgers exist, or actually this doesn't exist. Cheeseburgers are like feeling having. Oh, hey, look, I translate like feeling having. I'm good. If we're talking about me as opposed to other nouns, cheeseburgers are like related adjective. Indeed. Suki desu is not a verb. Desu is a verb, but suki is an adjective that has the feeling of something that is liked. For quick happenstance, the suki can basically mean liked. So cheeseburgers is liked. Watashi wa. Regarding me, cheeseburgers is liked. Notice how watashi is not the subject of the sentence in Japanese. Watashi wa in English is the subject of the sentence. Me, I like cheeseburgers. In Japanese, the subject of the sentence is cheeseburger. Cheeseburger ga suki desu. Cheeseburger is enjoyment having, if you're asking about me. Regarding my preferences, cheeseburgers are preference having items of, happiness. Notice how suki desu can not literally mean like, because cheeseburger is the subject, so we have to bastardize our translation to make it English friendly. I like cheeseburgers. Notice in English, I like cheeseburgers. Man, you see those cheeseburgers over there? I like those cheeseburgers. It's like you are aiming at the cheeseburgers and you're sending out some sort of a like verb at it. That's not what Japanese is doing. Japanese is doing just simply stating those cheeseburgers, they exist in a like having fashion. It means something a bit more like feeling having. Okay, an object that has a feeling of likeness to it. The ga particle continued. Number 1, pizza ga tabetai desu. Pizza o tabetai desu. If you've learned how to make want to do sentences, which maybe you haven't, this might be a little bit advanced for some of you, we're going to encounter how you're going to see these two sentences mean the same thing. One is more grammatically accurate, however, two is now becoming so frequently used that people are telling me that one is incorrect. 20 years ago it was the opposite. These two sentences mean essentially the same thing. Both are valid, however, one is more grammatically correct. How do you know that, Evan? You're just a stinky American. Well, I do stink because I haven't showered in a few days, and I am American. However, how do I know that it's right? Look at the word tabetai. It's an e-adjective. It ends in e. So, we're saying pizza is liked. We're not saying I like pizza, because you can't like pizza if you're using an adjective, or like to eat pizza if you're using an adjective to describe pizza. But isn't tabetai a verb conjugation? Yeah, it is a verb conjugation. But if you conjugate tabetai, tabetakunai, tabetakunakata, it conjugates exactly like an e-adjective. It is an e-adjective. We're not saying you like to eat pizza. We're saying pizza is enjoyable to eat having, so to speak. However, both of these are completely fine in modern day speaking. I'm just being a grammar Nazi. In Japanese. Anyway, in number 1, tabetai is acting as an adjective. So you might be wondering why sometimes it's ga, why sometimes it's o, if you're translating advanced what I've taught you. So like if you're a translator and you're like, dude, I wonder what he has to say about the ga particle. This is what's happening. Because we're using a ga here, tabetai turns into an adjective, which it actually is. It is an adjective. Number 1, tabetai is acting as an adjective. Look, you're tabetai desu. Pizza is tabetai. Pizza is wants to eat. We don't know who we're talking about. There's no subject. Now, if we look at number 2, because we're using the o particle, which is the direct object, tabetai desu is somehow an action verb. Pizza o tabetai desu. I just want to eat that pizza. It doesn't actually make sense, but it's so commonly used that it has come to make sense. It's almost slang that it's almost like the word cool. Remember when you were, well, I don't know how old you are, but when I was a kid, cool was slang. We're like, oh, that's cool, yeah. And then now it's like the 5th word a kid learns. In number 2, tabetai is acting like a verb. An unknown subject wants to eat pizza. The o particle almost changes the meaning of the tai form of the verb. Just throwing that out there because it's important to realize this when you're translating occasionally. The ga particle continued. Dare ga tabemashita ka? Who ate an unspecified object? Tabemashita is the verb. Ka is a question. And then the subject is dare. Dare ga tabemashita ka? Who ate an unspecified object? Who is the subject? Tabemashita is ka. This is just here to illustrate that ga can be used with question words / interrogatives. Yep. Very boring slide. Okay, and this is a slide that, if you're not very advanced in Japanese, just ignore this slide, to be honest. But if you want to hear some crazy ramblings of a translator who's trying to deal with the issues that Japanese is different than English, and this might help you with your understanding of Japanese, then please continue reading. If you're a little bit more advanced, take a stab at listening to this. Cheeseburger ga taberaremasu. First off, taberaremasu is... it can be two things. It means able to eat, and also it means was eaten. So it's either the potential I am able to eat, or it's the passive something was eaten. So this sentence, if you notice, this sentence illustrates, because the ga particle is a subject, this shows us how and why the group 2 verbs passive and potential are the same thing. Let's look at the sentence if we treat this as strictly is able to be, I can eat something. Now think about it. If you're saying I can eat cheeseburgers, why does Japanese force you to say cheeseburger ga taberaremasu? The advanced students are thinking, whoa, dude, that like blew my mind. If the sentence I can eat cheeseburgers is cheeseburger ga, watashi wa cheeseburger ga taberaremasu. Regarding me, cheeseburgers are able to be eaten. But wait, in order for me to say that in English, I had to say able to be eaten. Be eaten. Be eaten is the passive. That's the passive. X is eaten by Y. The pizza is eaten by Evan. That's why the passive and the potential are the exact same thing. And well, not the exact same things. Or the group 2s are the exact same thing in Japanese. Cheeseburger ga taberaremasu is almost an adjective. The cheeseburger is able to be eaten. Like that's a state of existence almost. This is a very tricky thing to get your head around because the ga is the subject. Cheeseburger ga taberaremasu. It is able to be eaten. So this grammar point is very important and tricky. It is also probably a bit advanced. Oop, that should be a D there. Look at how that magically turned into a D there, because magic, not editing or anything like that. It is also probably a bit advanced for some viewers. Notice that the cheeseburger is the subject, because it's the ga particle. When I try to say that I translate literally, I mean it. Other people get mad at me when I say that I translate literally. They're like, you can't translate Japanese literally, man. And it's like, well, they do have some valid points there, but if you want to translate literally, you have to understand that taberaremasu is almost an adjective. You're going to find out that adjectives and verbs are almost the same thing when you start trying to translate literally. It's very intriguing. So anyway, notice that the cheeseburger is the subject, and the verb is able to eat / able to be eaten. Thus, in order to tell us what cheeseburgers are able to, Thus, in order to tell us what cheeseburgers are able to be eaten applies to, we would need a wa particle to be the topic noun. So, like I said earlier, watashi wa cheeseburger ga taberaremasu. Notice, number 2, notice that able to eat is identical to is eaten. Like I just said, taberaremasu means is the potential or the passive. We can see why this is. When we make potential able to sentences in English, we clearly state subject is able to object. In Japanese, however, the English object is actually the subject. Look at that. The object of English is actually the Japanese subject. Cheeseburger ga is the object in English. I am able to eat a cheeseburger. However, in Japanese, cheeseburger is the subject of the sentence. Cheeseburgers are able to be eaten. With applying to me if we use a wa there. We could also use watashi ni, but that would be the cheeseburgers will be eaten by me. It's a slightly different meaning, but it's essentially the same. If we'd use the watashi ni versus a watashi wa, one clearly becomes a possessive potential, and one clearly becomes the passive. Okay. Hopefully I didn't blow too many minds there. Hopefully you got what I was trying to say. And if you didn't, you can totally ignore this slide. It's fine. Not a big deal. If you feel like that guy, don't worry about it. I love that picture. If that last slide went over your head, it's not a big deal. Just be aware that with able to do sentences, The thing that is able to be done is the subject of the sentence, whereas the thing that can do it is the topic, the wa particle. This will be hit upon when we teach able to do sentences. Don't sweat it if that went over your head and you feel like that guy. In fact, here's a puppy. Just, don't worry about it. There's a puppy. You'll be fine. Okay? That's a cute puppy. He's licking his nose. In case you're curious, that is a Yorkshire Terrier. Those things are adorable. They're also very friendly, and they think they're 9,000 pounds bigger than they are. Like, if you ever take a Yorkshire, it'll start barking at a Doberman, and sometimes it'll scare away the Doberman. So that's about it. That's about it for the Ga particle. Check out evanseasyjapanese.com. Check out the Skyrim translations, and I'm working on Final Fantasy Tactics translations. Donations are more than welcome. I'd love if this starts making money. You'll see more and more videos go up. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great year. Have a great everything. See you guys.